What's up everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today I want to make a bed tray. I'm thinking something with a mid-century modern vibe to it, maybe some curves. I don't know, I'll figure it out as I go. But in the meantime, I need to break down some lumber. This project doesn't have a whole lot of components, but at the same time, the grain direction really matters to me. So I want to have the grain flowing from one piece into the next as much as possible. So as I'm cutting up all my boards here, I want to make sure that I'm thinking about that. I just broke down some pretty chunky pieces, but in doing so, as I split these things open, now the inside of the board is exposed to the outside elements. Well, the inside of the board is going to have a higher moisture content than the outside. So I'm going to let these things acclimate to the shop a bit. Come back, whenever I see the moisture content's about the same on both faces, then I know I can mill these things up to their final sizes. Letting the wood acclimate is really important. Now, one of the more common questions I get is, how do I have so many large pieces of lumber? Well, I use a lot of air-dried slabs that I chainsaw milled. I'm self-taught. I do have a playlist on chainsaw milling if you want to check it out. But if you really want to learn how to do this, go over to today's sponsor, Woodworkers Guild of America. Woodworkers Guild of America is your online resource for woodworking instructions, ideas, and information. And this includes milling and drying your own lumber. I didn't know about the huge catalog they have on the subject. Instead, I learned through trial and error and frustration, especially when it comes to drying the lumber, which I think is probably the most important skill in the whole process. Go ahead and search for lumber on Woodworkers Guild of America's website. You're going to be blown away at the results. They have an article with helpful tips on how to air dry lumber, such as when to stack it vertical versus horizontal. It takes a while for lumber to dry. So I had to figure that out on my own, and I know I could have saved a whole lot of time if I would have went to Woodworkers Guild of America first. One of my favorite videos is about how to read the log, as in when you're slicing up a log, how do you get slabs with the coolest grain? Well, I know that I wasted some slabs because I was doing some guessing, and I really wish I would have known about this video. I put a link down in the video description. The first 1,000 of you that click that link or scan the QR code that's on the screen, you're going to unlock a special offer that gets you a full year's premium membership to Woodworkers Guild of America for only $1.49. This is for new members only. So thank you to Woodworkers Guild of America for sponsoring this video. Now I'm going to finish planing up my boards and then figure out how to cut my parts out of them. I got my boards milled up and I went ahead and paired them together. I like the flow of the grain from this board into this board and that board into that board. So I labeled them with some chalk so I don't mix that up. And I also made a template. Templates make the world go round in this shop. I use a lot of templates. So what I'm gonna do is cut these out. I'm gonna stick them on my boards here with some spray adhesive, and then I'm gonna cut out the whole shape. My pieces are cut the size, they're sanded smoothly. Now I need to cut the angle that connects the top rail to the leg. So over at the table saw, I'm gonna use my miter gauge, tilt it to a pretty extreme angle, I would imagine, and then make my cuts. Time to connect my pieces together. Now for joinery, I was gonna use dowels. Then I realized I ran out of dowels. So instead I'm gonna use a fancy tool, the Festool Domino, for some loose tenons. I did peel off the templates for my pieces. I was gonna keep those on. Then I kind of wanted to look at the grain one more time before I connected all these together. Otherwise, I would have kept them on. This corner is 90 degrees, but obviously the leg isn't. Well, you've tried to clamp this, the clamp just wants to slide off the corner. So what I did was I just cut some wedges out of really soft pine. I'm gonna super glue these on the bottom of the leg. That gives me something that I can clamp onto to make sure that this joint is really tight. Whenever it's dry, I just knock these pine clamps off, sand away the glue, I'm good. These look pretty good. I've cut out the other leg, so now I just got to attach these dudes. After the legs were assembled, I sanded them flat. Now, I ran mine through the drum sander, but I did take some double-sided tape and a whole lot of offcuts and stuck them to the ends of the legs. That just helps to reduce the chances of getting sniped. Then I got out one of my favorite tools, the spindle sander. I love using the spindle sander. I don't know what it is about it. It's just one of those tools that I thoroughly enjoy using. And the result is a pretty nice looking leg. So now I need to make a top. That means I need to break down some lumber and glue some boards together.
I've been down so long that my mind can't get no rest. No, no. I've been down so long that my mind can't get no rest. No, no. This ain't easy, darling, 'cause the devil's on my trail.
This top looks awesome. So now let's go to the table saw. We'll cut it down to its final size. And while I'm there, I'm also gonna cut the legs down. So I can take this top of the rail, I can put that up against my table saw fence, and then I can cut the feet off. Now I know the bottom of the feet are gonna be dead flat, and each leg is gonna be identical. It's time for me to connect the top to the sides. Now, I want the top to be flush with the side, not on top. So for me to do this, I'm gonna use loose mortise and tenons. I'm gonna glue the tenons into the legs, but not glue them into the top. Now, I could glue the center tenon, but the ones on the ends, I want those to float. So that way this top can expand and contract. So what I'm gonna do is make those mortises wider, but then lock them in place with a walnut dowel. I can make an oversized hole in the tenon that allows the dowel to sit in there and kind of wiggle around just a bit. That way, if this table does expand or contract over the seasons, it's not gonna break anything. The dowel is just long enough so it goes to the bottom of the top and into the tenon, but not through the top of the top. And I'll put just a little bit of glue on the end of that dowel, so it's gluing the dowel into the top, but none of that glue is actually touching the tenon in the mortise. Honestly, I think I'm taking kind of a belt and suspenders approach to this, and it may not be necessary. I've built a project similar to this. I built a table where I used floating mortise and tenons, and I didn't make it so a dowel can float inside that thing. I just made sure that I didn't glue the tenon into the tabletop. After glue was dry, I sanded everything down smooth, made sure that I rounded over the corners and broke the edges and all that kind of stuff. I'm liking it. Now it's time to apply finish. So for finish, I'm gonna go with a wipe-on poly. I want something that's gonna be durable because I'm gonna have a phone, a drink, a plate, whatever else it's gonna be on this to bang up that surface, so we need it to be pretty durable. I like how this one turned out. I'm digging how the grain flows from one part of the leg into the other, and I really like that straight grain across the top. It helps to really solidify the modern look to this. I'm sure this will give me a reason to hang out in bed and be a little bit lazy on a Sunday morning. I'll put a link down in the video description to the project plans if you want to give it a shot. Until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.